This is the Royal Report.
Good evening, welcome to the Royal Report. I'm Caroline DeRusso, and here's what we've got for you on our show tonight. But Prince William has returned to royal duties while his wife, Princess Catherine, remains in recovery. We'll give you an update on his latest engagements. Meghan Markle has launched a bizarre new product as part of her new lifestyle brand. We'll have all that for you as well. And Russell Meyers joins us from London to update us on Prince Harry's latest legal battles. But before we get to all of that, it's about time Prince William received some credit for his handling of the last few months. His father is unwell, his wife is unwell, his kids need his loving support now more than ever. His brother is continuing to make a spectacle of himself on the other side of the pond. There were rumours swirling of infidelity, and then there are the myriad of royal duties which still need to be carried out despite there being so few to do the work. And we know that tough times make good men, and I think 2024 might just be the making of the future king. No doubt it's been very stressful for Prince William. It's hard enough dealing with health issues privately, but it's another matter when they become the subject of unrelenting and increasingly irrational speculation and conspiracy. And in all of this, William and Catherine have tried to protect their kids from the barrage while trying to reassure them that their mum is going to be okay. Regardless of her position, Catherine is still a sick mum and William is a dad trying to hold it all together for his family. Now, on the public side of things, William and Camilla have done the best they can to keep up with official duties while Charles and Catherine recover. It's a balancing act between focusing on official engagements and reassuring the public of Catherine and Charles' respective recoveries. Here is William this week out visiting a charity which focuses on food waste.
It's been lathered in You've got some spaghetti hoops. I've got children, I love spaghetti.
This has obviously been very hard work, but who said that men can't multitask? And news.com.au entertainment reporter Bronte Coy. Now, Louise, William really has picked up the slack plus some, and he's back to official duties this week. What's he been up to?
Hi, Caro. Well, yes, William has really jumped in completely back into the royal way of things and out meeting people. And, you know, despite, as you say in your editorial there, what's been going on in his personal life, you wouldn't get a hint of that because his real skill, I feel, and you saw that in that footage of the lady who sort of passed him the cards for Catherine and his father and curtsied, and he almost sort of half said to her, you don't need to do that. But he made her feel totally at ease and made her feel totally comfortable while, you know, obviously meeting the future king. So he's been out, as you say, 2 charity jobs, looking after food waste, which of course is one of the key things of his Earthshot Prize initiative, environmental initiative. He's very keen on not wasting food and regenerating environments, pretty much like his father, who of course mentioned it in his coronation speech last year as well. So there were 2 episodes of that, one in West London and one down in Surrey. And also we saw him at a memorial for an SAS major, the first major, one of the original members of the SAS, who of course died in January at the age of 103. And William, of course, was seconded to the SAS about 15 years ago and was very excited to be part of this sort of band of military professionals who are absolutely revered in the UK. They really are the creme de la creme of the armed forces. So to see William back, you know, not a hint of sadness, not a hint of stress or anything. He was totally relaxed and he made everyone around him feel fantastic in his company. So a future king in the making, as you say.
Absolutely. And Bronte, is that how it's playing out on the ground? There seems to be a lot of goodwill for the royal family at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, William and Kate are so popular and they have been for many, many years. But given what they've been going through lately, you know, and the fact that they have just gotten on with it, the way you said about William at the top there, you know, he's had to get on with the job. You know, he's got a wife at home that's going through something really serious and hard, and he's got the kids to worry about as well, but he's getting back to work. And I think people really respect that. There's certainly a level of protectiveness over them. There's so much compassion for them and the way that they've gone about all this, and a lot of respect as well, I think. So, yeah, they were coming off a popular base, but certainly at this point, I think that they are just very firmly in the hearts of Brits at the moment, and people are just really wanting to see Kate recover. They want to see William and the kids doing well, and there's just that real outpouring of care for them.
And on the recovery, Louise, look, we understand that Catherine is continuing to rest at home. Can you give us any update on where she's at?
Yes, well, the update is very succinct. It is Kate is doing well. And we know this because William's gone back to work, and also because he took Prince George to an Aston Villa game in Birmingham the week before that. Of course, Aston Villa is his true passion when it comes to football, or soccer as we call it here. And the fact they're trying to maintain a level of normality, taking George to the footy as it were, going out to do charity events, they really are trying to dampen down any speculation that Kate may not be doing well. In fact, it's the opposite message. She's doing very well. We also have heard that Carol, her mum, has moved into Animal Hall, which of course is the Norfolk country estate bequeathed to Kate and William by the Queen. And Carol apparently has moved in to help with the 3 children, of course, just to allow Kate that extra room to recover and to concentrate on her treatment. So all in all, the family have really sort of piled in to help. And of course, we know that William is very close to Carol and Kate's family as well. So they've got a lot of love and care around them, which is fantastic.
That's so good. That is just absolutely sensational, particularly given the stir over the last few weeks. It's so good that they can actually finally recover in a little bit of peace and have that little bit of privacy. Now, Bronte, over to the Sussexes and a piece you wrote this week about Meghan's alleged fears that her kids will grow up to resent her. That's a big call. How did this piece come about?
Yeah, and for context, this comes after many months of there being a lot of signs that Harry and Meghan actually are thawing potentially in their frosty feelings towards the royal family, especially Harry. So this latest one is from royal biographer Tom Quinn, who says that he has heard from a friend of Meghan's in the UK that she's begun to have concerns about the fact that her children are likely to not have a relationship at all with their father's family if things continue the way that they are. So, I mean, of course, Meghan's estranged from her side of the family other than her mum. So the kids don't have a lot of cousins, and of course that they are spending time with. And if they were in the UK, they would probably be hanging out with Kate and William's kids. So apparently she's actually getting that in her mind about the fact that down the line that questions will be asked about, you know, why don't we hang out with grandpa? Why don't we hang out with our cousins? And also further to that, if they'd stayed in the UK, Harry and Meghan, their kids probably would have had the opportunity to be working royals, and that may have been something they wanted. It's their birthright. It's an option that would have been available to them. So these are all very real concerns. And as a parent, you want your kid to have every opportunity. And it does make sense that she's having these thoughts, you know, that the kids down the line will want to know why they didn't have the opportunity to be closer with the royal family and to know their father's family.
Yeah, fair enough. And Louise, we don't see much of the Sussex children, which is totally understandable. And to be quite honest, that's an observation more than it is a criticism. It's also been reported that they won't be appearing in the upcoming Netflix series. What do we know about this?
That's right, Caro. So the 2 new Netflix projects, part of this sort of, you know, mega deal they've got with Netflix. One is a documentary which will follow Harry around the polo set. Of course, it's a sport he's played since he was a child. All his friends play it. He's well in with the polo set, so that'll be interesting to see the stories that are revealed as part of that, of course. And there's a big polo community, of course, in Montecito where they live now. And the second project is Meghan's sort of lifestyle TV program where she'll combine her sort of shared passions of gardening and cooking as well. She really wants to take on the Martha Stewarts of this world and sort of, you know, establish herself. You know, Gwyneth Paltrow move over. She really wants to be the lifestyle queen of TV and probably globally as well. It's interesting because maybe Lilibet and Archie could form part of that Netflix documentary with Mum in the Kitchen, but clearly they've made a decision to exclude them from that. And I think that's commendable in a way because a lot of celebrities do tend to keep their children in as much of a private situation while they're growing up, so they're not exposed to the sort of lens of the paparazzi and, you know, all the headlines and so forth. And the difference here, of course, is that Lilibet and Archie are not being technically trained to be working royals, as we've just mentioned. So there's no need really to sort of allow them to practice or get used to sort of performing or going to press events on camera. So that's a big difference, of course, with the Wales's kids who, you know, are slowly being nurtured into that life, because they will be working royals.
Absolutely. And Bronte, there's been much said in the news this week about American Riviera Orchard and the launch of Meghan's strawberry jam. Now, what was the strategy around this, and how do you think it's landed?
Well, this brand launched about a month ago and it was so mysterious. Even now, there's not really any details on the actual page, the Instagram page or the website about what it's going to do. But we do know through sources talking to the media that it's, of course, a lifestyle brand, as we've just been talking about, and it's attached to a TV show. But the first cab off the rank of what it will actually sell is jam, we now know. So the way this was launched was interesting. It was highly curated. So there were 50 homemade jams that were sent out in quite lavish little packages. And it was sent to a group of people that are quite close with Meghan, who are highly influential, have very high net worths, and they have posted it on their own social media. So this isn't an official announcement and not an official product launch. Instead, they were sort of dripped out there to this group that have then put them out in front of their audience. So it's kind of reached that target audience pretty quickly. To be honest, I think it's pretty clever. I think that we've all been watching very closely for what Meghan's going to do and how she's going to do it. I think this is an area she's pretty comfortable in. It's actually nice to have something new and tangible that she's doing that's not just sort of a look back at everything that happened while she was a royal. And I think that it is effective in the way that it's put her product in front of the people that are most likely to engage with it. So, look, we'll see how it all plays out. I'm cautiously optimistic, but I think it's an interesting start.
And Louise, back to Harry, and we know he's heading to the UK soon. There's plenty of speculation, as always, around this visit. Have the details firmed up yet?
Well, what we do know, Caro, is May 8th is the 10th anniversary of the Invictus Games. So he's expected to be back in the UK, actually in London at St Paul's Cathedral, for a sort of service to commemorate that. What we don't know is whether, of course, Meghan or the children, in fact, will accompany him. I think this trip is sort of causing a bit of angst, certainly within his brother's circles, because it's not as though Harry can do a quick in and out or dash into the UK and then leave quickly, given the news that we all know, of course, that his father has cancer and his sister-in-law has cancer. So there is some suggestion that a meeting will be arranged between the estranged brothers and maybe some kind of public appearance, not some kind of press call or some sort of event. More likely they'll be seen together in public to sort of suggest that they can actually get along together, and maybe the ice is thawed between them given their respective health battles in the family. But it'll be interesting to see what happens. But certainly if Harry just sort of dashes in and out, it won't be a good look for him. He has to be very careful of the optics on this trip.
Yeah, I agree with that, absolutely. Great observation there. And Bronte, another great piece from you this week. You've been on fire this week, Dal, about bullying allegations made against Meghan by a former staff member. Now, obviously, these are just allegations, but what is the substance of them?
Yeah, absolutely. They are just allegations, and Meghan has firmly denied them, as did Harry in his memoir last year. But look, basically, this all stems back to, you may recall that a few days before Harry and Meghan's Oprah interview, allegations surfaced of bullying from their staff, and the palace said that they were actually launching an internal investigation. Now, the results of this and any further details have actually never been released, so we don't know anything further about it other than Harry and Meghan's denial. But in a new interview with the Herald Sun, a wide-ranging interview actually about palace life, it was fascinating. Their former staffer, who was a very senior palace aide, her name's Samantha Cohen. Now, she worked for the Queen for 17 years very closely, and then was seconded to Harry and Meghan for only about 18 months before she left royal duties altogether. Now, that sparked a lot of speculation, of course, and there were reports at the time that she had a difficult time working for them. Now, she wouldn't draw in further on these allegations, but she did confirm in this new interview that she was one of 10 people who was interviewed about the allegations. So that's really one of the first firm details we've gotten about what went on since it emerged that there was going to be an investigation. And I don't think we will find out much more, to be honest. This seems to have been quite tightly held.
Yeah, no, oh, well, there might be something more, but who knows what will happen there. Now, Louise Roberts, Bronte Coy, thank you so much for joining me this evening. And coming up, Prince Harry is back in court, but what is he fighting about this time? Russell Meyers joins us from London to discuss. Welcome back to the show. Joining us now is Royal Editor for the Daily Mirror, Russell Meyers. Russell, lovely to have you back, and some big news this week. We understand Harry's updated his country of residence. Now, what's happened here, and are there any repercussions?
Well, good evening, Carol. Well, there are, actually, and this is quite surprising that it's taken this long, I think, for Prince Harry, because he was talking about it a few weeks ago about potentially becoming a US citizen and what does that mean for him and his family. So he's obviously been thinking about it a lot. But the company that he runs, Travelist, the sustainability travel company, has filed new documents within the British Companies House. And he's put down his new country of residence, and that, of course, is the US. So it kind of signifies his final departure from the UK. And does this mean that he will never return? Certainly not into necessarily just family life with the royals, but whether he's going to be back in the UK. Harry did say that he had some business opportunities or opportunities to fly directly or indirectly to the UK to see his family. So whether that happens over the next few months or even years remains to be seen at the moment.
Well, he may not be resident in the UK at the moment, but he is in court, and he's still in court. He's lost his appeal with the Home Office, but he's had another win against News Group newspapers. So can you give us an update on these sets of proceedings, and where does this leave Harry going forward?
Well, it's often a period of intense litigation for Prince Harry, as we've known over the last few years. He's no stranger to it, and certainly fighting on several fronts. Now, with the British government in taking them to court over the Home Office's decision to strip him of his taxpayer-funded security, he is going to potentially appeal that. But at the first hurdle, it seems that he has potentially fallen down because the judge has said that he hasn't won this bid to appeal the decision. And where does that leave him? He may still want to appeal this decision to strip him of this security. He says that he can't bring his family to the UK. He doesn't feel safe in doing so. Whether that means that he won't come next month for the anniversary of the Invictus Games or indeed over to see his family, again, we will wait and see. However, it's a real big watershed moment, this, for Harry, because it's taken him an awful lot of time to have this court case with the British government, and he doesn't want to seem to let it go at the moment. Now, in the other corner is another court case with News Group newspapers. Harry has accused them of using surreptitious activities, phone hacking over many, many years. And News Group newspapers had appealed to delay the court case. However, the judge has said that there is no delay worth doing. The court case will go ahead in January 2025, so it's going to be seen to be another big one for Harry. But incidentally, his lawyers have said that he may be forced to settle the case before it goes to court. We saw Hugh Grant, the actor, settle amid fees facing of up to £10 million. So it could be a very important decision for Harry moving forward.
And over the last couple of weeks, there have been reports about the Sussex's new Netflix series. There are varying views about the expected content and how that could run counter to the priorities of the palace. What's your view on that?
Well, listen, I think that Harry and Meghan are in a difficult situation. I mean, they were criticised for not making public or private statements straight away when the King and the Princess of Wales made their cancer statements. There is an awful lot going on in the palace that we've discussed over the last few weeks. Of course, the King is still undergoing his treatment for cancer. We have the Princess of Wales taking an extended leave of absence as well because of her chemotherapy. And Harry and Meghan have kind of just got to get on with their job. But we don't really know what their jobs are at the moment. We're still awaiting what these new Netflix series would be, and a lifestyle project for Meghan, a polo executive producer role for this new polo show on Netflix for Harry. However, it hasn't really gone too well for the Netflix and Spotify deals. I mean, Meghan sort of being let go after one series for Archetypes on Spotify. The Netflix series hasn't really sort of stood the test of time. So, listen, I think that they'll have to sort of, Joe, go back to the drawing board. Their priorities are very, very different to the Palace. The Palace are trying to sort of pick up the pieces of the last few months. So they're moving in very, very different directions, that's for sure.
Now, back to the late Queen, and we know she loved horse racing. It was one of her great passions. But we understand the new King is eager to continue with the Sport of Kings tradition. Is that right?
Well, he is. I mean, of course, he's had a sort of a very scaled-down schedule over the last few months, undergoing his cancer treatment. We've only seen him sparingly at public events, meeting the Prime Minister or other members of the public in very, very small groups at Buckingham Palace. However, we did see him at Easter Sunday in a larger group outside Windsor Castle. I am told there is definitely an appetite to get him back to more public duties over the next couple of months. And that is interesting that, you know, we could see him at a Trooping the Colour, we could see him at D-Day commemorations, but definitely he does want to go to Royal Ascot if he is well enough to do those other events as well. So hugely positive news, I think, from the Palace. And I think we should take that as sort of a ray of sunshine to hold on to, because it's been a pretty testing time for the King and the rest of the royals this year already.
Now, Russell, lastly, and I never miss an opportunity to talk about Princess Anne. We know she's hardworking and popular, but this article from our own ABC here in Australia shows she's getting, I suppose, a broader recognition for her work.
Well, certainly. I mean, you know, there's no stranger to Princess Anne rolling up her sleeves and getting on with the job, and she's definitely had to do that more so over the last couple of weeks. And there has been sort of a missing of members of the royal family over the last few months, certainly with the King and Princess of Wales. Prince William, of course, taking an extended leave over Easter. However, it is good that Princess Anne is getting the recognition she deserves. There's no issue with her being called the trusted lieutenant of the King. Certainly, people in the palace would say that the King definitely relies on her for counsel and for maintaining the business of the monarchy, the less glamorous side that we don't see. However, she's still very, very highly respected, and I think that both you and I see it in spades, don't we?
Absolutely, we do. And Russell Meyers, pleasure as always. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Thanks, Karen.
Now, before we go, I want to bring to you a daring adventure which recently took place in the Canadian Parliament. A motion was moved by a group of MPs to allow parliamentarians to opt out of swearing an oath of allegiance to King Charles. Now, Canada's constitution requires MPs to swear allegiance to the reigning monarch, but the motion sought instead to allow MPs to swear an oath of office. Well, the motion was voted down, and this was the reaction. Sensational, isn't it? Anyway, that's the show for tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. Up next is Newsnight. Good night, and we'll see you next week.